Talk Radio. Coming at you live on MP3 from high on a hill above beautiful Lake Washington. My name is Lestro, and with me as always is the Guru.
Yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir.
And you know how this goes. We're here to talk a little trash on the week's worth of sports. I don't know anybody except the Guru, and the Guru knows all.
Man, I know a little something, something, man. Just a little something, man.
It is episode 43, and Guru, this is usually the deadest week in all of sports. But thanks to Adam Silver, you know we've got stuff to talk about. This week, we're of course talking about the huge Kawhi Leonard-DeMar DeRozan deal with Toronto's own Luca from the Waterboy Report joining us on the Skype. He's going to tell us what it's like from up there. Will the Raptors get over the hump? And what is DeMar DeRozan's legacy in Toronto? Also this week, he's going to talk to us a little bit about the All-Star Game and the ESPYs.
It sounds like a bunch of maple syrup there, baby. Maple syrup for my boy from up north.
Then, in segment 2, that countdown to kickoff continues as the Hall of Fame game is almost on us, Guru. This week, Guru's got his top 5 running backs as we head towards the 2018 season. Plus, you know we've got the 2-minute drill. We got a special LA So Hot Right Now game time. Guru, Trash Talk Radio, episode 43.
Let's roll, baby. Let's roll.
So, Guru, it is, as always, good to see you, my friend. How are you doing?
Man, I'm living a dream, man. Just living a dream. Don't you pinch me, man.
You have a good week this week, buddy?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I had a heck of a week, man.
Even in a low sports week, got a chance to get out and do some other stuff?
Yeah, man. I spent some QT with the baby.
There it is. There it is.
You know, got to give a shout out for the ladies that let us do this.
Absolutely, man. No kidding. That's absolutely the truth.
We are the voice of the athletes, the voice of the people, but dang it, we are the people, we listen to somebody else's voice.
That's right. There's a voice always checking in. So, Guru, I had a great sports weekend this weekend myself, man. I got to tell you, I got to my first baseball game of the year. I got out to Safeco Field in Seattle to watch the Chicago White Sox lose to the Seattle Mariners. It was Pearl Jam night. Got myself a fantastic T-shirt.
Hey, Pearl Jam, this ain't free. Send that check, baby.
Yeah, right.
This check season thing, we finna just give you all a free advertising like that.
Tell you what, all the money they're getting from me.
Y'all better come do a special right here, man. Come to the beautiful Emerald City, man, the Evergreen State, Pearl Jam.
They're here anyway, man. Just come over to the show and we can plug the home shows for you. I'm telling you, it's the way to go. But then, Guru, even beyond that, it was a great game. The Mariners won. I actually got to go with my father-in-law who was in town for it. Had a really good time. But then on Saturday, I had the funniest thing happen. I got to tell you this because it's sports related. I talked about this on Twitter, more or less on Twitter. I talked about this, but I went to a weed store on Saturday, right?
Whoa, are we talking about the grass that we cut, or you talking about marijuana?
I'm talking about the marijuana.
The marijuana. Hey, I'm sorry, marijuana. I know a lady named marijuana. Don't play. Don't play. Now I know she's an old lady.
Her.
No,
not
okay.
her.
We talking about the one that's legal in our state.
Legal here in Washington. So I go to a weed store, right? And I'm wearing my Phillies hat in the weed store, and we go to check out or whatever. And it turns out the manager of this place comes over and he's like, "Hey man, nice hat," and he's also wearing a Phillies hat.
So what are you trying to say, Lestro? Because remind you now, did you accidentally, like Ezekiel Elliott did, just went in a weed store just to see what it was?
Oh no. Oh no. I went in for a reason. And thank God I wore the Phillies hat because the dude gave me a hometown discount because I was a Phillies fan.
Kids, do not partake on what Lestro is talking about unless you're in a legal state and you're age of over 21.
Yeah, and if you are, I recommend wearing a Phillies hat in just about any store you can because it worked for me. That's what I'm saying. I don't know if it worked for everybody, but it worked for me, Guru.
You better wear that Toronto Raptors hat next time, man, for Kawhi. You might get something out of that.
I'll tell you what, they got the legal weed stores up there too, and that might be the way to go. Is that Kawhi jersey gets you in there? So Now, Guru, it was, of course, a low week in sports. Did you watch the All-Star Game by any chance? Watch the Home Run Derby?
Man, the only thing I got to see was my man Bryce Harper do what Bryce does. But I saw a few highlights, man. Like I told you, I was basically substituting this dead week for QT.
I'll tell you what, that Home Run Derby was one of the best I've ever seen.
Oh, my gosh.
I enjoyed it immensely. I even thought it was great that Bryce Harper came back to win it. That made sense to me. That was the way it should have gone. Great on both ends. That was a good baseball game. Game, too. I know you don't care. Good All-Star Game. Didn't matter for anything, but it was fun to watch.
It was amazing, actually. I kind of love Bryce's swag he had. I don't know if you guys noticed it. With the national flag he had on, man. The D.C. flag, the red and white sleeves. I mean, everything looked so beautiful. I mean, he even caught me amazed. I was like, man, I'm staring at this guy, man. Well, it was a beautiful image. And just the 19 home run he hit, the last one, and just the bat in the air and the throwaway.
Yeah, not even a flip, just
a throwaway, dude. Like, look at me. I am a $500 million man. Ted DiBiase, a.k.a. Bryce the Kid, the Harper, man. His theme song. Every time I think about Bryce Harper now, it's kind of weird. I think about the $1 million man.
Well, you know what? Next year, this could be the love letter that he leaves to Washington. If he goes elsewhere, they'll always have the Derby.
I always do. That's the only thing we want with him.
They'll always have the Derby.
We always got the MVP for him, and we always got that bat throw, baby.
That bat throw.
That bat throw with the two-handed throw, man. Forget the old school one fling. You know the other guy fling the bat?
Yep.
He throw the bat. That's what I'm talking about. Go throw that bat and get that check, Bryce.
Well, speaking of getting that check and players on the move, the big news this week, obviously, was the giant Kawhi Leonard DeMar DeRozan trade, which sent the Spurs Kawhi Leonard up to Toronto to play for the Raptors. This was not where he wanted to go. He wanted to go to L.A., and I love the fact that the Spurs were like, you know what, man, screw you. See you in Ontario.
Toronto.
Yeah, Toronto, Ontario. So that said,
my bad, Toronto.
That said, I think we got to check in with our boy in Toronto, Luca from the Waterboy Report.
And you know we always here at TTR, World of Sports Network. We got play pools everywhere. We going to our own Waterboy over there in Canada, man, to give us the bird's eye view what's really going on in the province of the Maples.
Skyping in. Let's check it out. Luca Rosano from the Waterboy Report. And we are back on TTR with Luca from the Waterboy Report, coming to us all the way from Toronto, Canada. Luca, welcome to Trash Talk Radio, man.
My favorite Canadian, baby. My favorite Canadian. Hey, you know what? You remember last couple weeks I had my French toast?
It worked last week.
But today, boy, I had my pancakes with my maple syrup.
That's right.
Hello, Canada.
I love it, man. I love every time I'm on this show. I love the new setup you guys have. Keep doing big things. It's a privilege as always to be here.
Thanks, man. We love having you on the show. Always great to have you here. And Luca, of course, can be found at the Waterboy Report everywhere. He's on Twitter. He's on Instagram. He's on Facebook. He's on YouTube is the main thing. Watch his show. Not only does he have a great sports podcast to do, this dude is out there making skits. He's out on Man of the Street.
I'm telling you, he's a man of all talents.
All
man.
talents.
I call him the Jamie Foxx of the game, baby. He could sing. He could act. He could dance. He could do everything he wants to do, man. He is the platinum. He is the all everything. Where's the awards, man? Where's the next podcast YouTube awards show? Because we just finished watching the ESPYs. Now I want to know about the YouTube awards show because my guy right there is definitely going to be the best YouTuber when everything's said and done right there, man. My man, Luca, man. What's going on, bud?
Wow, that's high praise, man. I can't thank you enough for that. That's awesome. I'm doing great. Great to be back on this show. We're going to be talking about sports as we love to do. And what do you guys have on tap? What do you want to talk about?
Well, man,
I always love talking to you two.
I got to tell you, we had to call our boy in Toronto after the news of this week. You know, Adam Silver is keeping things interesting out there in a lull in the sports world. Obviously, the huge news this week was the Kawhi Leonard trade finally moved.
Yep.
And he ended up on your Raptors, man. Didn't go easy, though, you know?
It's so funny. Like, Kawhi was talking about the beach of L.A.
Right.
You know, with the blondes and wearing nothing. And now all of a sudden, Greg Pop is like, you don't want no beaches. I'm finna take you up north, baby.
I love that too, man.
We taking you with no.
It's gonna be freezing here.
That's right.
It's gonna be cold.
I love that he gave the Spurs an ultimatum, and they were like, "You want to be where it's warm? Enjoy Lake Ontario in December."
And not only are we gonna ship you, not only are we gonna ship you somewhere you don't affect us, but we gonna ship you out the country so you can pay that double tax. Now, don't think those guys. He's gonna pay that Toronto tax, that United States tax, that international tax. So Kawhi Leonard, that's Greg Popovich giving you the finger the nicest way.
But Luca, man, this had a major change for your team. So I just want to ask you off the bat, what do you think of this trade? Because the Kawhi Leonard for DeMar DeRozan, that's a big change up there for the Raptors. What do you think?
Yeah, first I want to say Canada's not all that bad as what you guys make it. Toronto's one of the best cities in the world, so I got to rep my
There's truth
people,
to that, man.
but,
Toronto's a beautiful city.
But guys, it came as a huge shock, just as I'm sure it did from both of your perspective. When I was following the story, I'll be honest, at first I was skeptical because I didn't know the other parts that were going to be included in this deal. I didn't want to give up one of our top young prospects who I believe, like an OG Anunoby or DeLon, right? A guy who I think is going to be the catalyst for the Raptors' future. So I was a little bit skeptical. I didn't want to give it all up for a one-year rental. But then when the news broke of the actual deal and the pieces involved, and we're only going to be giving up Pirtle, he's going to do great things over there in San Antonio. He's a workhorse. And DeMar DeRozan and a 2019 unprotected pick. Yeah, I was sitting there digesting the news, and I'm like, okay, if you have an opportunity like Masai did to make a trade for a top 5 player in a superstar-driven league, I know you don't know what you're going to get for him entirely, but you have that chance to get Kawhi, who's going to immensely make your team that much better and do things that DeRozan was not capable of doing in the most important part of the season, the postseason. You make that deal. So I love the deal from my perspective. I think if I was in Masai Ujiri's shoes, I would have made the deal. You're getting better with Kawhi Leonard, and if he's engaged and fully healthy, I have the Raptors coming out of the Eastern Conference, and that's not me just being biased. That's me talking right now as not only a Raptors fan, but a basketball analyst. I think it was a deal that needed to be made. You didn't give up too much, and you have Danny Green coming over. 40% free three-point shooter, an area where the Raptors have struggled mightily in years past, especially in the playoffs. And he's a really good, underrated perimeter defender. Yeah. So he's going to be big on that team. This move, guys, it's Waterboy approved. I love it. Meanwhile, a lot of Raptors fans over here, my fellow fans, they did not like it because of the whole loyalty issue.
Well, that's the question here, is that your team had to do something. You know, it's it hasn't gotten over the hump. They are kind of cleaning house. This has been a huge winter for the Raptors and getting rid of the coach, now getting rid of one of the superstars. Is this the way that they needed to go with LeBron not in the East anymore? That sort of opened the door for the Raptors. He was the roadblock for them. Going forward, can they get past the Celtics now is the question. I mean, you got better, no doubt. Kawhi plays more defense than DeRozan ever did. But is this enough to now get past the Celtics? Does this get the Raptors to the promised land for this year?
Yeah, I think so. And first, I just want to address the whole, loyalty game. And I want to address something that Masai Ujiri, before I get into this answer, what he said at his press conference, which was, it was very much true. He said that, we gave Dwayne Casey, who you mentioned, and DeMar DeRozan chances and chances and chances. Yep. There's only so many chances you can give up until you lose your mind. Insanity, it's doing the same thing over and over and expecting, a different result. That wasn't going to change in Toronto. And the whole loyalty thing that people are complaining about, at the end of the day, it's a business. You go to work, you're not performing, what happens? Your boss, he tells you that it's not working out and he's going to lay you off the leash. It's the same type of thing in the NBA. Loyalty, unfortunately, it's one of those things that kind of get overlooked now. But if a guy isn't doing his job, you have to make the move that is going to make your team better. And speak to the ultimate goal, which Ujiri, I got to give him credit. He's been preaching since day one. He wants to bring a championship to Toronto. You weren't going to do that, leaving the team as constructed and not bringing over a guy like Kawhi Leonard, who at least gives you a chance. Now, to answer your other question, I do believe they can match up against the Celtics and give them a run for their money to get out of the East. First of all, we don't even know how Hayward's going to look off of that gruesome injury. Kyrie Irving, we don't know how he's going to look following up his injury. So there's a lot of ifs, ands, or buts, which can be used on the Raptors side of things because we don't know what Kawhi Leonard we're going to get. Are we going to get the guy from a year ago or the guy who was stopping LeBron James en route to a Spurs championship when LeBron was a member of the Heat? Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of variables and questions, but I think right now you stack it against the Celtics. The Raptors have a really promising starting five. You know, you're going to have a Derozan, a Danny Green in the backcourt. You're going to have a Kawhi Leonard. If he's engaged, he is the best player in the Eastern Conference. He's going to be able to shut down some of those players that the Celtics have, a Hayward, a Tatum. He's going to be doing justice against those guys. And then you have a front court of Valanciunas and Ibaka. Now, Ibaka has struggled. That's not a surprise to anyone. But I still think he's going to flourish in this defensive-minded team. And then you look at the bench for the Raptors, we're still going to be carrying one of the best benches in the league, bench mob.
That's true.
We call it over here in Toronto, Canada, because we only got rid of Pirtle, and he was the least, I guess, valuable piece out of all the young pieces we have here. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be interesting. I'm not going to say the Raptors are going to win in 4 or 5 games, but I think they can hang with the Celtics in a 6-7 game series and can possibly win. It depends, though. It's gonna come down, I think, to home court advantage when it's all said and done.
So how do they feel as far as the Raptors? You know, the fan base out there. Obviously, everything is not solidified because Kawhi could be a different type of Kawhi, and he could be traded by the trading deadline. So, are you guys kind of walking on eggshell? Like, how comfortable it is? I guess, do you guys feel like, oh my gosh, we have somebody for a year, or do the fan base think, oh my God, it might be a rental? Let's just wait till after the trade deadline to see if we'll guarantee have him for a year. So, what's the emotion right now in Toronto?
Yeah, that's an excellent question because with Kawhi saying that he didn't want to go anywhere except L.A., yes. I had said all along I didn't want the Sixers to go after Kawhi Leonard because I was convinced that next year he's going to L.A. anyway.
Yeah.
So I guess as part of that question, are you happy with the deal if it's only for a year, and do you think that Toronto, being the city that it is, convinces him to stay?
Yeah, those are really, really good questions. Well, to answer Guru first, I would say 80% of the fan base out of the gate didn't like it because of the whole loyalty issue and the fact that you touched on. He can be gone in a year, but I wouldn't be, I wouldn't be happy if he left, obviously, in a year, but I wouldn't also necessarily be mad because of the fact that we didn't really mortgage the future to get Kawhi Leonard. If we included those pieces, like I mentioned, DeLon Wright, OG Anunoby, I would have been mad because I'm very high on both of those, both of their ceilings and what they can do as players, as Siakam. So, I mean, if it all works out and he leaves after a year, again, it's gonna hurt the fan base and hurt the team. But life moves on. And also, I think that's an excellent point you brought up. I think Toronto can convince Kawhi Leonard to stay because you see how much support we pour over here in the North.
True.
Canada's got one team with the Grizzlies. With the Vancouver Grizzlies no longer around, we got one team. We all praise and celebrate the Raptors. If Kawhi Leonard can be the quote-unquote king of the North and he fits that bill and he starts to warm up to these fans, I think we can convince Kawhi Leonard to stay. And especially if he sees how easy it is, I don't want to use the word easy, but easier in the East to only go up against 2 other threats at this point, the Philadelphia 76ers and the Boston Celtics. No disrespect to Guru's Wizards.
Okay, good.
But right now, those are the only 2 obstacles that he would have to get over. Whereas you go to the West and, there's 5 different teams you can make a case for making a deep run. So we saw it too, guys, with Paul George. Everybody was already making the decision and saying there's no way he's going to sign with Oklahoma City. We were saying from day one, he's LA bound. This is a big mistake. And what happened? He went there. He got a little taste. He liked what he saw. He gained a little bit more loyalty to that fan base, and he re-signed. So I think it's not out of the question that he can stay past next season. If he doesn't, I mean, at the end of the day, Masai Ujiri, I'm still going to give him credit, unlike a lot of Raptors fans. At least I can say that he tried, he went for it, and if it didn't work out, well, at least we had a player in Kawhi play for this team, who I think he should give it his all, because it wouldn't be a good look on him if he sits out and then expects big money in 2019.
Right, he is playing for a contract.
Oh, you know, Guru loves them.
Love a contract year.
That check season, baby. So just a two-part question here real quick. So do you think, obviously, the first couple of months go and Kawhi is not really what you guys think it'll be, do you think it'll be a best situation to actually trade and get more picks rather than just let him walk at the end of the season and get nothing out of it? Because you guys are already in that building mode. You think it'll be best benefit to get let's say, Alonzo Ball or Brandon Ingram, in a sense, for the Lakers, and also in a sense get that pick you guys gave back to the Spurs? Do you think that also be a benefit or win for Toronto if that do occur?
Yeah, I think Masai Ujiri is in a good situation because, again, he looks at this as one or two things. You go for it all, you try to win a championship. Then if it doesn't work out, you're headed for a rebuilding phase anyway. That's what a lot of people fail to realize. Derozan and Lowry, if they weren't going to win it this year, which of course they weren't, they were going to blow this thing up. So to answer your question, I think, yeah, it puts them in a good position. Let's just say we're in January, February. Kawhi hasn't been playing up to his capability, or he's expressed disinterest with the team. Now Masai Ujiri is put in a position where he has leverage and he can then trade Kawhi Leonard to a contending team. And what if the Lakers at that time, they're just a Kawhi Leonard away from dethroning the Warriors? Then you get put in a really good situation, like you mentioned, that if you know Kawhi Leonard's going to walk around February, March anyway, or around February before the trade deadline anyway, then you, of course, strike a deal so you can get some future assets, because at that point you would know that this team's headed for a rebuild. So it's not the end of the world just in case it doesn't work with Kawhi. I'm being very optimistic. I hope it does work. I think it will work. But if it doesn't, like you mentioned, there's other opportunities that present itself around that trade deadline that can help this team in the future.
Yeah, if it doesn't work out, he becomes the biggest trade chip in the season that everybody's going to want.
Yeah.
So that is a nice piece to have if you're the Raptors. If you're Masai, if you're Masai Ujiri, that's a nice piece to have. And by the way, I got to tell you, that press conference that he held where he came out and the first thing he said was,
so classy.
Yeah, my apologies to Derozan for the communication on this. So classy. That was such a great press conference that it practically changed my mind on this deal. You know what I mean? Like I thought he handled that exceptionally well.
See, and one thing I also want to add on, most people don't realize, especially being the States players, you know, being born and raised in the States, it's very difficult having family to move all that and be in another city, basically in a national city.
Yeah.
So people don't realize why a lot of superstars, megastars, really don't consider the up north. I tend to see you guys get more draft picks, you guys horn in with your homegrown.
And then they hang around, because it is a great town.
But it's hard for me to say, I'm from L.A. or I'm from Atlanta. I'm from the South. I'm from somewhere in the state where my friends and family are.
Where it's warm.
Yes, and now we're going to go live in another country. You know, as long as it's how close it is in another country, I think that's what kills Toronto. That's what will kill basically the Grizzlies when they were in Vancouver. You guys, it's hard for mega stars to come to markets like that.
So now, Luca, you said before, you said the magic word in there, which is if Kawhi's engaged. If he's engaged, and we can get him to like Toronto. So my question for you is, how do we engage him? What's the advice? What should he do and see when he's in Toronto, man? Our guy on the ground.
Hey, I've seen some of your clips, man, so I know something that could engage him now.
He's got a beach. I know. I've seen the beach. What should Kawhi do while he's in Toronto, man? How do you convince him to stay?
I mean, we got a great fan base. You got the CN Tower, and then he'll know during the game, especially the playoff games. You guys know Jurassic Park. Yeah. I think it's the only team, right now in the NBA that hosts live outside viewing parties outside of the actual arena. Mm-hmm. So it's incredible to see that atmosphere. It's incredible to see that support. And hey, Kawhi Leonard, you're gonna have not only Toronto, you're going to have all of Canada rooting for you. So I think once he gets here, sees the friendly vibe, the loyalty that the fans have towards their players, the niceness of Toronto fans and the Toronto culture, because you guys over there, I know you guys make jokes sometimes that we're overly polite at times, but I think we're going to lure him with just the sheer passion and support that we have, not only for him, but just for the Raptors, and what it would mean if Kawhi Leonard can in fact be the king of the North and do something that no Raptors player has ever
Yeah.
done. Lead this team to an NBA Finals at least.
If he gets them into the finals, he becomes one of, if not the greatest Raptors of all time, and that will solidify him the love of the fans. That could make him stay.
Time out. I know the greatest Raptor of all time.
Vince Carter.
No.
What?
Drake, baby.
Oh.
Drake.
Oh, man, don't say that. I got the Vince Carter jersey ready behind me.
Guru's still in his feelings from last week's challenge.
I'm telling you, he's putting the Raptors on the map, baby. In fact, how come Drake wasn't involved with this?
You know what? I forgot to mention that. That's a good point. Out of my whole little explanation on how to keep Kawhi here, Drake's a big part of that equation.
Exactly.
I totally forgot.
Yeah.
He's going to have a huge role
He's their
in
Meek Mill.
convincing Kawhi to stay.
Yeah, because you know how the entertainment mix. So you get, that's how it all goes. It's all about bridging that gap because we're all the same. Just like in every major city. You know, L.A., LeBron wants to be around the other stars. In Toronto, I don't think Kawhi want to be just the one. Just being around another mega blockbuster star like a Drake, I think that could be very influential as far as, you're right, retaining him.
So, Guru, is what you're saying is, Kawhi, do you love me? Are you riding beside me?
Hey, that's what we doing.
I don't know the rest of the dance. I just know the hard part.
So, Luca, while we have you here, I know there's a lot more going on, and you talk about a lot of stuff that's not just I got a diesel coming up here. You talk about a lot of stuff that's not just Toronto and not just basketball. Now, I wanted to ask you about the All-Star Game this week because Guru doesn't let me talk too much baseball, but I know you're here. You have some thoughts on how to make the All-Star Game a little more relevant. It's one of those things that for the past couple of years, viewership's been down. It's not as big a deal as it once was. What are your thoughts on making the baseball All-Star Game a little more relevant?
First of all, one thing that did change, it was in D.C. this year. Shout out to my Nats, baby.
That's true. That's true.
And two, my man Bryce.
Yeah, when he leaves.
The and I'm not talking about my tie, multi-million-dollar man, and I'm not talking about Teddy Biasi. I'm talking about Bryce freaking Harper, baby.
Yes, future Yankee Bryce Harper won the home run derby this year at his hometown. But Luca, what are your thoughts on the All-Star Game and how to make it more relevant for Major League Baseball?
I love the Ted DiBiase reference with the European belt behind me.
Yes.
But that's a really good question. So I'll be honest, personally, I wasn't invested in the All-Star Game. I think when did they make the rule change? I believe it's been it's been for the last 2 years that the All-Star Game doesn't mean anything. If I stand correct,
again,
I don't stand correct.
I think it's been 2 years that it's been that way again. It used to be for about 10, 15 years.
For the home field, right?
It was for home field in the World Series.
Yeah. So that pretty much gives away my standpoint on this. They need to go back to what was working, I think, before, and having the best of the AL go against the best of the NL in a game that actually means something, because all those players on those teams, especially if you're on a contending team and you know a World Series appearance isn't that unlikely, you're giving it your all. The pitchers are giving it their best stuff. The batters are hanging in there. And you make this game once again mean something. You make it whoever wins, that team gets home field in the World Series. Of course, a lot of people are against that because they're saying it should go with the notion where the best team with the best record gets home field. But, I mean, it was working before. We were much more invested. The media was much more invested. It's not like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I think they should have just stuck with that. That notion, stuck with how they did things, and I would have just kept it like that. I don't know what your thoughts are on that, but I liked when it actually meant something. It was the best All-Star Game in sports when it did mean something.
Woo! See, my only thought on that.
Sports, baby. I like that.
My only thought on that. Well, it's the best All-Star Game in sports anyway because it's the only one where the players aren't, you can go full speed at a baseball All-Star Game. You can play at your best because no one's really getting hurt.
NHL, I love the NHL All-Star Game.
Well, that new one with the three guys and picking teams.
The NBA's was good too this year.
That's one of the things I would say.
This year?
Yeah,
I would say the NBA model of picking teams playground style could possibly work in baseball too. You pick a couple of captains, you let them pick their teams, and you go from there. I would but I have a much more radical approach. I would get rid of interleague baseball. That's what I would do, and because it used to be that the only time you would see the best of the AL play the best of the NL would be the All-Star Game in the World Series. So you never really got to see Sandy Koufax pitch to Ted Williams unless they pitched in the All-Star Game. And I would love to see that again. Yeah. That, to me, would make it more relevant.
I never saw that.
Well, we didn't.
That's a hot take.
That's what I'm saying.
No more interleague, eh?
Yeah. No, I don't like the interleague play, man. I'm a traditionalist.
Traditionalist, man.
So I also hate the DH. I'll get to that at some point. You're the man. You let me go on that. I'll go off on the DH. All right, so Luca, before we let you go, because we got to let you go to your thing, we got to get on with the Trash Talk Radio. I got to ask you, did you watch the ESPYs this week by any chance? Because that's the other thing that happens.
I did not.
I
did not watch the ESPYs. Hey. I don't know. It didn't intrigue me. Danica Patrick, I know it's always tough to be front and center and make jokes, but I don't think she delivered.
No, I watched some of the highlights.
As being the host of the ESPYs. I don't know. This year, I just wasn't into it.
So,
but the reason, I think, yeah.
Go ahead. My thing is, like, I don't know if we're getting older, if it's just the time zone or whatever it is. Do we care about award show, man? Do we ever, like, does anybody cares about award show? Like, I don't even care about award show. Like, I never really cared. I don't think players really cared because we're basically award show is a big party, right?
Right. It's a chance for them to get dressed up and hang out in Hollywood.
For you to get dressed up and then sit there for a lecture and then go party afterwards. Because what I get is the more of the afterwards, after show I get from the IGs, from the social media, it's more afterwards what happened rather than the first 2-3 hours of basically nothing.
Now, that said, male athlete of the year this year went to a hockey player for the first time. Alexander Ovechkin picked up male athlete.
No, duh. The grade A is about to pick up a bunch of stuff. I didn't watch the show. I don't need to watch it, but even I knew that. The grade A need to get one. But I'll take that back. Drake did do great on I forgot which show he did. It must be the NBA award show. He did one of them. But Drake is a beast. Just to give the
I don't know why Danica Patrick hosted that. If I was ESPN, I would have had one of their people do it, that make the better jokes. You know who I would have had do it? I would have had Michael Collins, the caddy who is on Sports Center, that the stand-up comedian who was the caddy. That's the guy I would have host the ESPN.
Yeah, that would have been a good pick.
Hey,
that would have been a good pick.
You know who I'll have next time? Hey,
Guru?
Disney, ESPN, y'all send that check up north for that international money. My boy over there, my man, he already messed it with Stephen A. Smith. You guys already know him. He gave Stephen A. the business, even though me and Stephen A. told he's going to L.A. But my man over there, Luca, ESPN, you better call that guy for the next ESPYs because Danica Patrick, you are as good as you are in your race car game because I've never seen you win a race and I know you didn't win the ESPYs.
Wow. That's some trash right there from one of the best to say it. Wow.
And with that, we'll say thank you to Luca for joining us once again on Trash Talk Radio. You can find Luca at the Waterboy Report anywhere on the internet, man. He's on Twitter, he's on Facebook, he's on Instagram, and you can find the Waterboy Report and all his sketches, all his skits, and his full-length podcast on YouTube. Go and check it out. He is one of the best around, and we love having him here. Luca, my man, thanks for joining us on Trash Talk Radio.
Appreciate it, guys. Definitely got to do this again and keep doing what you guys are doing. This was a great time, and we'll see how the whole Kawhi Leonard situation pans out in Toronto.
You know we're going to talk to you during the season.
Oh, absolutely, because my man...
I'm waiting for it.
Kawhi! Hey, you know what, Luca? Don't worry, man. I love my maple syrup. And Toronto, we love you, baby. I don't care what Luca talking about. We talking bad about Toronto. Y'all help me out, Toronto. Send that check, baby. Send that check. I need some more maple syrup, man.
Luca, thanks for joining us.
Take care, guys.
Our thanks to Luca for joining us on the show. As always, I love having him, Guru. He is so good. I love all the stuff he's doing up there. It is fantastic. Just great to have him on the show.
Yeah, man. Luca's one of my favorite, man. I just love the kid. He stands correct. He's especially what Canada is all about. I know we like to joke around.
Always making fun.
We always joke around down south. That's what we do. We joke around up there about the people up north. But at the end of the day, they're swell people.
And the truth is, Kawhi could fall in love with that city. That is the kind of city that you can fall in love with. That is the kind of fan base that can really coalesce around a player and make them want to stay. This could work.
The only thing I'm weary about, bro, like I'm going to be honestly weary about Kawhi originally from the Bay Area, from the West Coast. He went to like San Diego State. He went to school in the West Coast.
Yeah.
And then he got drafted by the Spurs, which is basically in the southern hemisphere. So there's the weather.
Warm.
So it's like when you're now, Kawhi is about what, 27, 28?
Somewhere in that range.
Yeah, so it gets to you. No one wants to be at that stage, go to the cold, especially when you have an African-American type of heritage and descent. We prefer being closer to the equator.
A little bit warmer.
It's just what it is, man. I'm like, hey, I prefer. That's why you can see we do better in this Summer Olympics than we do in the Winter Olympics. It's just, I don't know why. It's just what it is. The only thing you know about my descent in the Winter Olympics is the bobsled, which was just a coincidental accident. You know?
They're pushing and running.
Yeah, it was just, they thought it was this summer. They just so happened. They're like, no, it's for the winter, you know? And they continue. But what I'm getting at is, let's just look into that as far as his happiness. You know, when you're not happy about things, the little things upset you.
Absolutely.
It could be the weather. It could be traffic. It could be this. It could be that. When you're not happy, and most importantly, when your family's not happy, that's what's going to make sure you have a bad season, because they don't like, when you come home, guess what? They're going to be in your ear. You know, they're going to be in your feeling.
In your feelings.
You know?
He'll be in his feelings up there with Drake. I love that. I love that Luca brought that up too, that Drake can be the guy to help make that. I think that's true. I think it can go on. Hey, by the way, speaking of fans coalescing around, before we end the first segment here and head on to talking segment 2 about the top running backs and about the 2-minute drill and in game time, we just want to thank our fans here at Trash Talk Radio for our 10K for TTR. Hashtag 10K for TTR. Thanks for everybody out there. You got to retweet it. You got to get it going. You can find us everywhere. Make sure you watch the show on YouTube. Guru, I love the way it's going. What do you think of all this, man?
They know, man, because the people is doing this. It's not just us. We are the people. We are the voice of everyone, the athletes, the people, and you guys keep supporting what we're doing. We're loving every aspect of it. We're just doing our call to action. You guys get us to 10K. We're going to do what we have to do, be the voice and be in the forefront for everyone. So just support. Tell your friends. Tell your family. Tell everybody who's 13 years and above, because Lesher made a little story about his extracurricular activities.
Let's be clear. We're not Disney.
But y'all... all Fox. But y'all, hey, but we take them checks, though.
Take the check season.
But thank you guys, and y'all keep supporting. And when we hit that 10K, because of all y'all stay tuned, man. We're going to have some special things coming up. We're definitely having some special things. So keep doing the support, and we're going to keep doing what we do, which is provide you guys great content.
And with that, let's take a quick break, Guru. We're going to be back for segment 2 of the show. You've got your top 5 running backs. We're finally getting into the sexy positions, if you will, here for our top 5 going forward. You know we've got the 2-minute drill, and I got a very special Los Angeles So Hot Right Now game time for you. Stick around. Trash Talk Radio.
TTR.